Hello, Kris here. Welcome to my studio and my live art show. Today we're going to be talking about hats. I noticed I had quite a few paintings of people with hats and with things on their heads, animals, skulls, that kind of thing. So I'm going to talk about a few of those paintings, and then we're going to be joined live by Dylan MS Art, who's going to be showing off a few of his latest headgear projects. All right. So this painting right here is of my daughter Hedda, and I painted this when I was taking a fiber class with Saskia Jorda, which is great. But I had this project where I was making a felt, I think it was like a felt pocket, and so it came out kind of cool, and I brought it home, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to use it for. It was just this pocket, and so my daughter immediately put it on her head, and I was like, of course, it's a hat. It was a great hat. But it's interesting because hats are, there's all these kind of sayings about hats, but when you put on a hat, sometimes it can sort of change your identity. And so that's what kind of happened here. She put it on, and it was immediately like, I don't know, this other persona, this other kind of character, which is pretty interesting. And so I painted here, I don't know if you're at my last art show, but I talked a little bit about patterns and patterns in my art, and how they're sort of emotional thermometers for me of like spaces, physical spaces, indoor spaces, outdoor spaces. But this one is a little different. I don't know if you can see that it's painted right over her instead of sort of a background or an addition. And it's more like a lens looking through this pattern at her. And the pattern itself is a sewing project she was working on. And I think some of it I made up and some of it was from that pattern. But it was also, for me, a little bit, she's got this other persona on, but for me when I was painting this, I paint a lot from photographs. And this painting was sort of a departure from that. It was like, sometimes I feel like, I don't know, painting from a photograph, you get a little too realistic, a little too caught up in the details, a little, I don't know, too focused on certain things. But with this one, I wasn't really, it was kind of a loosely based on the photo. So it's a lot freer for me. It's a lot pushing my boundaries a little bit. So I feel like this painting is kind of about the both of us. And if you guys are interested in any of these, you can click on the link in my bio, or if you got the email, just follow that link. This next one is a little one. This is just a hat for, because she was cold. So we were up in Flagstaff. It was snowing, and she was sledding, and I'd stood with her or be waiting at the bottom of the hill, and she ran over because she caught a snowflake on her tongue, which of course was melted by the time she got to me. But it was kind of interesting that, just in the flow of play, but serious play, but it's a good day. It's another small oil on panel. It's got a little frame on the back. With this painting, I was trying, again, I'm always trying to get away from getting hyper-focused on that detail. So I was trying to paint using as few strokes as possible. I don't know if you can see that. So it's very loosely painted. So I was trying to see how little could you paint and still get the atmosphere and the feeling of space and the figure, but doing just as little as possible. So this was up in Flagstaff. This is Dylan, and he's got on it's a wolf hat and his camping slippers from his good friend Leslie Barton. and he's in the woods. It's kind of loosely, you can see behind him pine trees and sky and woodsiness. But again, super loose. That's all palette knife work. And again, this was an instance of, he's got this wolf hat, and but he pulled it down over his face, which is something, you might see later on, where it's not just a hat, but it's almost like a mask. I guess it is kind of a mask in this instance. And again, he's got, he sort of becomes somebody else. Now he's really a wolf out in the woods. So, again, this one's called The Wolf. These are 3 little paper paintings that I've got. Paper's always kind of loose and experimental for me. So this was just a friend of my all my kids, I guess, Ella. And again, she's just wearing a hat because it's cold. And she's eating sunflower seeds out by the ferry house. Girl with a small bear on her head. I always like this one because she's got a bear on her head. This is Amelie. She was, or she is, a friend of my daughter's. She's very creative, but she's also very quiet. So I don't know if I was thinking that she's got this bear inside her that's kind of sleeping, but I haven't seen her lately, but I have a feeling that bear is starting to wake up. Again, like when they're loose like this and small, lets me experiment a little more. So a little more distorted, features. It's fun for me. Here's Dylan at the beach. And he just threw his towel over his head. But again, like sometimes when you put something on your head, it just kind of changes your persona. So he became, again, something different, like almost a person with a headscarf, or he's got that kind of furtive look. But this painting just got an interesting feel. One. Yeah, I'll move over. This one's called Girl Wearing Bird Skulls on her head. And this was also one of my fiber projects. So it was actually a boat. It was actually a boat that I had made. Out of felt, and it had a big, it was a boat with a big kind of sail, or a tail actually, a big flowy tail. And I brought it home, and had to immediately put it on her head again, like a fancy hat. But this one had a scarf built in, so it was a hat and scarf. And again, just becoming, this other kind of person, and she's got that. I'm always aware of the male-female gaze in my work, so she's got this kind of intensity to her, and there's something about the way she's standing there with her arms kind of in, and not really as animated. I feel like she's just like, waiting for something. And the skulls, maybe we saw the Beatrix Potter movie, or we were learning about Beatrix Potter, and when she was a kid, they had a big woods behind their house, and she used to go out in the woods, and they would find a dead animal or something, and she would bury it, and then let the bugs eat it, and then they would dig up the skeleton, and then she could study the skeleton, and that's why her drawings are, so realistic, because she really studied anatomy. So my kids heard that, and they were like, wow, that's a cool idea. So every time they would find a dead bird, they'd bury it, and then, well, the idea was to dig it up later, but most of the time they forgot about it, or decided they didn't actually want to dig it up, or couldn't remember where they buried it. So we had these little thrasher skulls around. They're actually about maybe this big, and with a little bit of the spine still attached. And I'm not sure where it came from because I don't think they dug it up. But anyhow, there was this little skull that was just like around for a while. So I put that on her head just because it was, something about it just felt right for this painting. And it seemed to work, and that was the painting. But this painting is also kind of a mystery to me because most of my work I'm like, oh yeah, that was about like how tired I was when the kids were small, or something that I can figure out. But this one I don't really know exactly what this one is. It's kind of a mystery. So maybe it'll come to me later. Maybe it is about her just, it's almost like a headdress, it's kind of a powerful thing. She's got a lot of presence there with her gaze and her headdress. So maybe that's it. And that's all I have for paintings. Now Dylan is going to join us with some of his fantastic headgear. And I think I'm his model.
Hello. I'm Dylan, and I've recently been making balaclavas. Just for fun while I've been home from college. Part of because I've been into streetwear, and a lot of times balaclavas seem to me like a way to the next step in making your outfit part of your identity, like a temporary identity, the way outfits are. This one was inspired by a plastic bag, and it actually uses a shoelace to tighten it. It was inspired by a canvas bag. Just when I was bored one day and walking around the house with a bag on my head, and I looked in the mirror and was like, oh, this actually looks kind of cool.
So when would you wear this?
I don't really know when I would wear it. I was just kind of making them maybe on a rare occasion, as when my outfit was super important to me. This next one, I just kind of like the idea of making balaclavas out of things that are already other things, and being able to wear them so that you can tell what it was originally, but it just elevates this balaclava instead of
What's that?
physical. Wait, it's not all of it.
So why balaclavas? Are you living somewhere cool?
Actually, these the puffer balaclavas were also inspired by Syracuse weather because I go to college in Syracuse, and they're a more practical form of art. Yeah. And that orange one I actually just finished like 10 minutes ago. This blue one, again, also made out of a jacket, but I kept the zipper and pockets so you can tell even more that what it used to be. And I also like including animals in basically all the balaclavas I make to show the relationship we have with them. Try to strengthen it.
Is this a bunny?
Yeah, and just a feeling of a bunny.
Or another animal?
Yeah, just a feeling of being an animal. I think my next balaclavas will probably be crocheted.
We'll be on the lookout for that. That's all the hats and hat paintings we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you want to buy any of these hats, you can click on the link in the bio. $35, super cheap. Thanks again. Bye.